So I'm with Bidar from Stonegate Legal Services, and whether you are a landlord or a tenant, I trust you must know these 8 things about Residential Tenancies Act most people get wrong. Bidar, here you go.
When a tenant passes away, the tenancy terminates after 30 days. If there is a surviving spouse, that surviving spouse can continue the tenancy. However, if there is not a surviving spouse, the landlord must hang on to all belongings for at least 30 days. The only items that a landlord can dispose of is anything that's left behind that's unhygienic. During the 30-day period, the landlord must provide reasonable access to the next of kin or the executor of the estate so that they can remove the tenant's belongings. There are really only 2 reasons, legal reasons, that a tenant can withhold the rent. The first is if the landlord does not provide an address for service on the Ontario Standard Lease. The second is if the landlord does not provide a copy of the standard lease to the tenant upon their request within 21 days. Let's get one thing straight. Police officers cannot evict tenants. They do not have the jurisdiction, they do not have the authority, they are not authorized to carry out a court order, and they cannot provide a legal opinion. The only person who can physically remove a tenant by way of an eviction order is the court enforcement officer, also known as the sheriff. In most cases, 24 hours notice is required to enter a rental unit. However, there are certain circumstances that 24 hours notice is not required. In emergency-like situations, the landlord does not have to provide 24 hours notice to the tenant. Secondly, if the tenant consents to access at the time of the entry. Thirdly, if there is a provision in the Ontario Standard Lease that the landlord and tenant have agreed to providing access for the purpose of a cleaning service. And fourthly, if the parties have agreed to end the tenancy and the landlord requires access in order to show the property to a prospective tenant. Access has to be provided within reasonable hours between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m.
Did you learn anything from today's video? Make sure to stay tuned for the second part. I'm your local realtor, Athar Abbas, and I'll see you in the next one.